We have a dark history in this country. It's a history that we really don't talk about unless there's some kind of tragedy, like the senseless death of a 17-year-old boy, Trayvon Martin. We've all heard the details or lack of a case. Come on, Florida. We've got the 911 tapes, we've got the questions surrounding the police investigation. But the part that upsets me the most is that Trayvon's killer, Mr. Zimmerman, that guy just knew what he was looking at that night. And that's the part that I want to talk about. And let me give some perspective, because I also want to take the opportunity to defend a man for a speech he made back in 2009 that I think he got a lot of heat for that he really didn't deserve. Eric Holder, the current Attorney General for the United States, he gave a speech to the Department of Justice for Black History Month, the same month that he actually took office. And as it turns out, one of the first speeches of his tenure in office turned out to be the most controversial speech of his tenure in office thus far. And I'm going to read some excerpts from the speech, and I'm going to be paraphrasing, but I think it's going to put the video in context. He said, "The need to confront our racial past and to understand our racial present endures. Because in things racial, we continue to be in too many ways a nation of cowards. Average Americans, you and I, simply do not talk enough about things racial." And I always thought that what really got him into trouble with this speech wasn't his, provocative use of the word coward, but that this speech offended people in this country who have gotten comfortable with the perception that they were colorblind, as if the only way that they could see the commonality in someone else's humanity was to overlook the historic realities of our culture and how it developed. So let's face facts. When you see me, you see me. Every question about my hair and my skin color and my eye color and the way that I talk and the way that I walk, it all gets categorized and referenced, because that's what we do as human beings. That's what we've always done as human beings. It's how we determine friend or foe, or bait or mate. Which leads me back to Trayvon. Because there's this argument that's being made that racial bias couldn't have contributed to Trayvon's death because his killer, Mr. Zimmerman, was of mixed heritage and thus a minority in his own right. And I just want to get this straight here. There is no natural immunity to prejudice. Minorities in this country are exposed to the same racial and ethnic stereotypes as non-minorities. We internalize them the same way, we foster them the same way, we reject them when we can, and sometimes we even discover them in places that we never knew existed. We are all drinking from the same poison trough when it comes to how we see each other and ourselves. The challenge is in recognizing these notions for what they are and how they've influenced what we believe about each other. And we need to assess the importance of these biases in our lives, because the fact of the matter is that there are a lot of people who are very comfortable with their biases about themselves and about other people, because it gives them some distinction, some way to separate themselves from the other guy, rightly or wrongly, for better or worse. In Trayvon's case, the worst was tragic and wasteful and maddening. This kid died because Mr. Zimmerman just knew that he knew what and who he was looking at that rainy night in February. Trayvon, the dark stranger walking alone at night, shielding his face with a hoodie, with that black guy walk, kind of wondering if his pants were sagging too. We need to talk and not stop talking. And I know it's going to be hard because when it comes to communication skills in this country, we are even more diverse than in our diversity. We have all sorts of sore subjects and bad ideas and harebrained notions. I call it trying to talk sense to crazy. The thing is, we've all got our own special brand of crazy, and that shouldn't stop us from trying to talk. Adrienne Rich said, "What we see, and what we see is changing, and it should change. But if we're not talking, if we're not having the discussion, we lose sight of the changes and we miss valuable opportunities for self-discovery. We fall back on our dark and destructive behavior." Because Eric Holder was right. Whether you like the way he said it or not, Trayvon's death is giving us an opportunity to have a discussion that should be open and honest and reflexive and aspirational, because we are not a nation of colorblindness. We're a nation as diverse in color and character and creed and culture, and we should be, because that is the foundation of our freedoms in this country. We can all be here and mark ourselves with individuality and distinction while being indivisible. Kids like Trayvon shouldn't have to look like you in order for you not to see him in black and white.